Politics is changing fast and every decision shapes our future. In today's video, we're breaking down the latest headlines, the key players, and what it all means for you. Whether you're here to stay informed or spark debate, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. At the Conservative Political Action Conference, billionaire Elon Musk and Argentinian President Javier Milei made headlines with their aggressive stance on government downsizing. The event highlighted their shared vision of slashing bureaucratic institutions, symbolized by Musk's theatrical display of a chainsaw, one of Milei's signature campaign props. The performance coincided with the Trump administration's mass layoffs at the Internal Revenue Service, where around 6,000 employees were let go following an executive order from President Donald Trump. The move is part of a broader effort by the administration to dismantle sections of the federal government, a strategy led by Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick has suggested that Trump's long-term goal is to shut down the IRS entirely. Musk, a key Trump ally, has played an active role in shaping these policies. Before Election Day, he proposed an early strategy to purge federal workers through deferred resignations, a concept that appears to have influenced the administration's restructuring efforts. Since Trump's return to office, Musk has maintained a close advisory role, participating in joint interviews and discussions with world leaders. The cuts to the IRS mark just one step in a larger campaign to reduce the size of the federal workforce. With Musk and Milei at the forefront, CPAC showcased an intensifying push to reshape government operations, leaving critics concerned about the long-term implications of their aggressive anti-bureaucracy agenda. The Trump administration has made a dramatic shift in U.S. foreign policy, moving away from its traditional alliance with NATO and strengthening ties with Russia. Since the end of World War II, the United States has been a key ally of European democracies, standing against Russian influence. However, President Trump has taken a new approach, portraying Ukraine as the aggressor in the ongoing conflict with Russia, and suggesting that the U.S. should reconsider its support for Kiev. Trump's remarks contradict the widely accepted understanding of the Russia-Ukraine war. Ukraine was invaded by Russia in 2022, leading to global condemnation of Russian aggression. Western nations, including the U.S., have provided military and economic aid to Ukraine to help it resist the invasion. However, Trump's recent statements not only shift blame onto Ukraine but also suggest that the U.S. should disengage from the conflict and rethink its alliance structure. This major policy shift has sparked concerns among foreign policy experts and U.S. allies. Many European nations worry that Trump's stance could weaken NATO's cohesion and embolden authoritarian regimes. The United States has long played a leadership role in maintaining global stability, but this realignment could alter that position significantly. As the administration continues to redefine U.S. foreign policy, these changes could have lasting impacts on international relations and global security. Several Republican senators have voiced their opposition to President Trump's recent claims regarding Ukraine. Trump has suggested that Ukraine is responsible for provoking the ongoing conflict with Russia, a statement that contradicts both historical facts and the consensus among international leaders. Senator Mike Rounds reaffirmed that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy was democratically elected and has been instrumental in defending his country from Russian aggression. He emphasized that Ukraine has shown resilience in the face of invasion and that the U.S. should continue supporting its fight for sovereignty. Senator Lisa Murkowski expressed skepticism toward Trump's characterization of Zelenskyy, stating that she would never refer to him as a dictator. Similarly, Senator Thom Tillis rejected the notion, stating that dictator is not a word he would use to describe the Ukrainian leader. These statements highlight growing divisions within the Republican Party regarding Trump's foreign policy stance. While many GOP members remain aligned with Trump, others are beginning to voice concerns about his approach to international relations. The disagreement underscores broader concerns about whether the U.S. should maintain its traditional alliances or pivot toward a more isolationist stance. With the war in Ukraine ongoing, this debate within the Republican Party could shape future American policy in the region. Republican Senator Roger Wicker of Mississippi has strongly condemned Russian President Vladimir Putin, labeling him a war criminal who should be arrested and potentially executed. His remarks directly contrast President Trump's recent moves to strengthen ties with Russia, signaling that not all Republican leaders support a closer relationship with the Kremlin. Wicker stressed that any meaningful peace negotiations must involve Ukraine and ensure that European interests are carefully considered. He expressed serious doubts about Putin's credibility, highlighting Russia's long history of violating international law. His comments reflect broader concerns that Trump's foreign policy could undermine NATO's stability and weaken the United States' long-standing alliances with European democracies. As chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, Wicker holds significant influence in shaping U.S. defense policy. His strong opposition to Putin suggests that there could be resistance within Congress to any effort that appears to legitimize Russian aggression or undermine support for Ukraine. His remarks also highlight the challenge of balancing Trump's policy priorities with the broader national security interests of the United States. Despite Trump's shift in policy, Wicker's condemnation of Putin indicates that there are still influential voices within the Republican Party that oppose a pro-Russia stance. His comments suggest that any major foreign policy realignment by the Trump administration may face opposition from lawmakers who remain committed to traditional alliances. While President Trump continues to reshape U.S. foreign policy, key Republican lawmakers retain the ability to push back against his approach. Senator Roger Wicker, in his role as chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, has already demonstrated his ability to influence policy discussions within the administration. Following a conversation with Wicker, Trump ally Pete Hegseth appeared to modify his stance on Ukraine's NATO membership. Initially, Hegseth suggested that Ukraine should never join NATO and that Russia should retain control over occupied Ukrainian territories. However, after discussions with Wicker, his position softened, indicating that internal GOP pressure could still impact Trump's foreign policy decisions. This development underscores the potential power that congressional Republicans have to challenge or shape the administration's international agenda. While Trump remains the dominant force within the party, lawmakers who disagree with his stance on Russia and NATO still wield considerable influence. The coming months will be critical in determining whether Republican leaders take stronger action to counter Trump's realignment or allow his policies to proceed unchallenged. If opposition within the party grows, it could limit the extent to which Trump can reshape America's global alliances. However, if Republican lawmakers remain hesitant to assert their influence, the United States could see a significant shift in its international positioning, with long-term consequences for global stability. Recent comments by former U.S. President Donald Trump have cast uncertainty over the future of U.S. support for Ukraine, raising concerns among European allies and potentially weakening Kiev's international position. His remarks, which align with Kremlin narratives, have fueled speculation about a shift in Washington's foreign policy stance. Trump has questioned the legitimacy of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, falsely claiming his approval rating is at 4%, and suggesting Ukraine initiated the war. These statements echo Russian disinformation efforts aimed at justifying its unprovoked invasion. By amplifying these narratives, Trump risks undermining Ukraine's credibility on the global stage. Throughout the war, Zelenskyy has sought to maintain diplomatic ties with Trump, emphasizing a belief in achieving peace through strength. However, this approach has been met with increasing hostility. Trump's allegations that Zelenskyy is benefiting from U.S. aid and his warning that the Ukrainian leader must act quickly to save his country add further uncertainty about the future of American military and financial assistance. The prospect of reduced U.S. support has raised alarm in Europe, where officials fear that a weakening commitment from Washington could compromise regional security. As Ukraine continues to resist Russian aggression, its ability to rely on the U.S. as its primary military backer is now in question. With Trump's rhetoric shifting towards skepticism of Ukraine's leadership, the implications for the country's war effort and broader European stability remain uncertain. If the United States withdraws or reduces its aid, Ukraine may face significant challenges in sustaining its defense against Russian forces. Former U.S. President Donald Trump's recent remarks on Ukraine have drawn scrutiny for echoing key aspects of Russia's disinformation campaigns. His claims that Ukraine provoked the war and that President Volodymyr Zelenskyy lacks legitimacy reinforce narratives long used by Moscow to justify its 2022 invasion. Russia has repeatedly framed Ukraine's NATO aspirations as the cause of its aggression, despite the absence of an imminent membership bid at the time of the invasion. By lending credibility to this claim, Trump risks undermining Kyiv's international standing. Additionally, his suggestion that Ukraine should hold elections despite the ongoing conflict disregards the severe security and logistical challenges of conducting a vote during wartime. Trump's rhetoric also reflects broader shifts in U.S. foreign policy priorities. His administration has increasingly criticized Democratic allies while avoiding direct condemnation of authoritarian regimes. Recent statements from Trump and his team labeling European democratic leaders as tyrants, while remaining silent on the Kremlin's oppressive policies, further illustrate this trend. These developments have significant implications for Ukraine's future and NATO's stability. A growing skepticism toward Ukraine within the Republican Party could weaken bipartisan support for military and financial assistance to Kiev. A reduction in U.S. aid would not only hinder Ukraine's ability to resist Russian advances, but also alter the strategic balance in Europe, ultimately benefiting Moscow's geopolitical interests. That's it for today's deep dive into the latest political developments. Whether you agree or disagree, the conversation doesn't stop here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll see you in the next one. Let me know if you want a different tone, more serious, engaging, or even humorous.